What's going on? What's going on? Damn. So Tyson Fury, I guess, supposedly had caught COVID. That was the news that we heard, and they talked about how it had spread through the entire camp. So like a whole bunch of people had caught it. They were talking about up to 10 people had caught this virus. So when news of like this comes about, especially when you're talking about it was 2 weeks before this fight, and all of a sudden this new news came around. You kind of had to lay back and kind of see what exactly was going to happen. You know, no one really believed that he had COVID, and the reason was just due to his past behavior when it comes to these type of situations when you won a title and you're supposed to defend it. With Klitschko, he was supposed to defend his title. He beat Klitschko, took the belts. In the midst of them having to do a rematch, he was coming in substantially overweight, Batman costumes, doing all this crazy stuff. He supposedly, quote, hurt his ankle, so they had to extend the timeout from when they were going to do the fight. We find out during that time frame that he had been popped for using substances before his previous bout. So who knows what he might have been on when he fought Klitschko, and then all of a sudden he quote had mental issues, and it wasn't mentally fit to compete, and also failed now cocaine tests as well, tested positive for cocaine. So when this happened, it was kind of like, okay, we saw that you didn't want to do your bout before. You're trying to get out of it to, quote, fight Anthony Joshua. And now, you're in this space where supposedly you have this disease. Oh, man, I don't even know what to say when it comes to this dude. It's ridiculous. So this guy, basically when it came to his camp, everybody's kind of sitting back. I just wanted to see, let's see what happens. Before necessarily say anything crazy, let's just see what happens. Turns out the entire team, no one tested positive. They mentioned all these different people that supposedly had it, but then they said Parker's supposedly had it, but then he's at a UFC event, he's hanging out, he's with his kids, no mask on, no nothing. So clearly he was fine. Other members were posting videos of themselves training, hanging out, traveling, outside of the country. No issues, no problems, and then the last 2 days, now we have news on Tyson Fury, where he didn't say anything to his fans, didn't apologize, anything of that nature. He came online just to thank ESPN, the ESPYs, for giving him the award for Fighter of the Year, even though he didn't fight in the year, and also asking fans to go buy his products. Nothing as it pertains to the fight. Looked completely healthy. And then we have pictures of him at an exotic car place where they sell and they rent vehicles, but they mostly rent vehicles. So I guess that's where probably he was going there to rent an exotic vehicle for the week or whatever it is, or for the weekend. No mask on. Then he's been caught in the casinos. Again, no mask on, taking pictures with fans. So clearly, if this is the case, if you're like this, you definitely don't have it, because either you don't have it or you're putting people in grave danger. You're basically, you're a spreader of it right now, going to these different places, with no mask on, when you're supposed to be at home, you're supposed to be quarantining, to make sure that, you end up being, you're healthy and that others are healthy as well, that you don't end up spreading this to other people. So I'm thinking that's definitely not what he's doing. So the only thing that you can think of is that he doesn't have it. Again, looks healthy, like there's nothing wrong with him whatsoever, which is ridiculous. Which is just, so basically, we could have had this bout next week. We could have had a finale to this drama, to this 3-fight series. We could have had the ending to it, where everything's put out on in the open. If he has the same performance as he did last time, then okay, everybody needs to shut up. But if it doesn't look the same, if the power's not the same, if things are completely different, then people can say whatever they want to say. It brings validity to everything that, Deontay Wilder was saying. But regardless, we were going to see what was what. And it looks as if, Tyson Fury basically for the second time as it pertains to this bout has tried to skip out of this fight. I think this morning now, Mike Coppinger or somebody, Pogmeyer, is now putting out a tweet trying to say that, because, you got to do damage control now. Now the story is that, Tyson Fury had got a test that, quote, the next day he tested, they told him he tested positive, which makes absolutely no sense because you have rapid tests where you take the test and you find out the results right away. So the fact that you have to wait till the next day, that already doesn't sound right. Because you would be doing rapid tests to find out right then. What's the point? Why are you taking tests where you find out the next day? It makes no sense whatsoever. Especially when you're walking around with no masks everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. And it's kind of ironic that supposedly the entire camp, according to Bob Arum, had already, taken their blood, had done their vaccines. We went from them having done all their vaccines to, Fury only did one of the vaccines, but he didn't do the second boost like you're supposed to. What? So what is this? Did the entire camp also not do the second one? Because if the entire camp did it, then why would there be this widespread event, which ended up being no kind of widespread event anyway? None. Camp is fine. He seems to be absolutely fine. And now this fight's going to be moved back for a couple of weeks. I guess now into October. And you have to start thinking when it pertains to him. We've seen a lot of interviews that he's been doing lately, but he's coming in with black eyes. His face has been bruised up. So you have to kind of wonder, he's substantially overweight. People say that, he was moving up to 300 on purpose, but he didn't look in shape. He didn't look right. And you have to wonder what's going on in that camp. Is he in a space where he's just not ready and they want to make sure that they win this bout? Just like, and again, this is the same camp as with Teofimo Lopez, who, quote, also had the issue. And according to this thing on Pogmeyer, what he was saying was that he tested negative, took the test on the 5th or whatever, tested positive on the 5th, on the 6th, which again, like I said, makes no sense. Then after that a couple of days later, he took the test and he was negative. So this guy had this virus that we know whenever you get it, you basically have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. Worst case scenario, you have to be on quarantine for a couple of days. 2 weeks. You have to basically be in there for, I think it's 10 days. 10 days you have to be in quarantine. But somehow, when it came to Tyson Fury, he got that one kind that, only he got, that when it comes after a couple of days, you're good. After a couple of days, you're just good, to walk around. According to Pogmeyer also, 2 members of his team that, quote, tested positive, whoever these people are, went home earlier on this week. Which again makes no sense, because if you tested positive, you're not going to be able to get on the plane. Especially if you're going back to the UK. It's not happening. You are not going back to the UK. When they put on that sheet, have you tested positive in this particular amount of time? Yes, you cannot travel. They will not let you into that country. They will not let you onto the plane, period. So, basically at the end of the day, there's obviously something going on when it comes to Tyson Fury. And the fact that he is out about, the fact that he is taking pictures with people, makes me believe that he doesn't want to do this fight. I'm not sure at this point. I'll go and say that I'm not sure if this fight happens in October. If I had to guess or put money on it, I would say this fight's not going to happen. It seems as if he's going through the same kind of flow, the same kind of path that he did with Klitschko. And some people would say that, man, there's so much money on the line. You're looking at a $17-19 million gate. You're looking at 1 million pay-per-views. Like he has a 60-40 split where he was going to make a substantial amount of money in that Klitschko rematch as well. But he didn't want to do that fight, so he found a way out of it. And it looks as if right now he's basically trying to find his way out of this fight too. So we'll see what happens. They haven't said anything as far as official announcements of it being rescheduled or anything of that nature. I know on the site when you go to buy tickets, all it says is that it does say postponed, but you still can purchase tickets. But it does say postponed, so to let you know that it's not going to be happening on July 24th. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And of course, we'll see if the media gets on him. We'll see if the media starts chastising him and trashing him for what he did. But, as we can see from Pogmeyer, that's not the case. They seem to be going a different direction when it pertains to him. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens in the next week as far as rescheduling this bout. But for now, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.